Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make your character in Blender, pose it, all that. This is going to be a very simple video, so just relying on it trying to be helpful. Yeah. First, open up Google and just search Blender. A page like this should come up, just open that. That's the official Blender website. Then you can download the newest version if you'd like, but I'm going to use an older version, so go to download and then previous versions. Then to download any Blender version, and you should see just a bunch of these. Look for 3.4. After opening it, select the one that works for you, so I would pick the Windows 64 MSI. Just if you have Linux, pick Linux, Mac, blah blah. Just download the right one and install Blender. Once you open Blender, you should see something like this. You can ignore most of this, just click off of it. We're not going to be using it for now. And you're going to see this. You're going to see a camera, you're going to see a cube, and you're going to see a light. So we can actually ignore most of this for now. You're going to go at the top to File, Open, and in the description there's a link where you can get the downloads to the rigs. So I don't care about saving this, so don't save. And then you're just going to open one of the two rigs. So I'm going to open this one because I have a normal classic skin. And there you go. You should get a few lights, you should get the character, you should get the camera. That's all you need. Next, I'll show you how to change the skin. Start by selecting the head, then look in this bottom corner where it currently says Lowell Sharky V2. That's the skin file. So you're gonna hit the folder icon and pretty simply just select what you want your skin to be. So select the skin file that you have. You could use goggles skin. Okay, now for the fun part of actually posing it. Be sure you're in object mode at the top, and select the bones. These are essentially just the bones. This is like you move the bones to move the character. Now that the bones are selected, if you go back to object mode, you should be able to set to pose mode. And so once you've done that, some of the colors should change and you should be able to rotate them. So over on the side, you can see the tools. You're not going to need many of these, just rotate, move, and mouse. So rotate is pretty self-explanatory. You're using this for posing. It's just how you rotate the limbs and all the bits. Then the move is typically for cameras and lights where you're moving it around, and the cursor is just selecting things, mouse, cursor, whatever. Next, with pose mode and the rotate tool selected, you can select different bones and then rotate them. You can use the different circles for this. These represent the different axes with different colors. And then that's essentially how you pose it. You just pose each individual part. How I like to start is making a rough pose. Basically just the same thing as the idea, but not as refined as the finished product. This will allow me to see, okay, this is what it's kind of going to look like. Put it in the thumbnail, just see how I want it to be. Next, we're going to just work on the camera, and then we'll come back and finish posing. If you select the camera, you can use the move tool to move it, rotate tool to rotate it. This is pretty simple. And just use this to get the character in a spot that you like. To see what the camera is seeing, either hit number pad 0 or go to View, Viewpoint, and then Camera. Then you'll just see what the camera is seeing. This is what you'll render later. Once you found a spot you like, go on the side to Object Properties, select the Rotation XY value, and be sure that's at 0. If it's not at 0, it gets slanted. You can slant it in your editing software, much easier. Just don't have it slanted. Now that you have a camera position you like, go on the side with the camera section and go to background images. You're going to select it and open the image you have as the background of your thumbnail. This should be essentially your thumbnail just without the character. Obviously, this is a step you can just skip if you don't have the background of your thumbnail. But if you do, this makes your life so much easier. Now position your camera and position your character in a way that it will look how you want it for your thumbnail. So this will take a bit more moving, but once you have that, you'll have essentially just your thumbnail, but the character still needs to be refined with the pose. Now that you have the location you want for your character, you're just going to go back in like you did at the start, pose mode, rotate tool on the bones, and just make it so you have the character in an actual pose you like. So, I'm changing it so I don't have super rigid arms. Like, oh, I'm not, like, I don't know, arms straight up 90-degree angle. Now it's like I'm actually waving. Moving the legs a bit, maybe moving the torso forward, moving the head. The head's a big part. You typically want that looking at the camera, but, mess with it. And pretty obviously, check out looks in the thumbnail as well. So, with the camera and everything. But there you go. You've got your pose. Now, you're going to go up in this other top corner, and you'll see these 4 circles. So this one and this one are for wireframes and solids. You will never have to deal with that. You'll only have to deal with this one, which lets you see the textures, and this one, which lets you see with the lighting. So you'll notice, oh, it's really dark. I don't really like that. I want it to be a proper light. That's actually pretty simple. That's what we're doing next. You're going to go to Object Mode, and you're going to add a light. You may also have the lights that are automatically generated. Don't worry about that. Those are our base lights. You can get rid of them, mess with them if you want, but for now, I'm just not going to. So spawn a light with the add and then light, and always do point. Never do sun, spot, or area. So now that I've got my light, over here you can mess with the power. That's essentially how bright it is. So 0, it's doing nothing. Really, really bright, you're blinding everyone. So find a spot you like, right? Maybe there, and then you can copy and paste it, or you can just add a new one and just toss them around. Essentially, just play with it, check the thumbnail, right? See how you like it, mess with it a lot, and yeah, that's about it for the lighting. If you're using shaders in game, try and match that with the character so it actually like looks like what it looks like in game. Match it with the background. But for this, I'm just using a gradient, so it doesn't really matter. And you've got your character. Now, you're not done yet, because if you don't have the background, then you're going to have a few problems. First, you'll notice the black. So if you go to this top one, the render properties, and you go to film, you can turn it transparent, right? That's also pretty easy while you're working on it, but for now rendering, if I don't have the background, it'll just be a transparent image, just the character, PNG, whatever, make your life really easy. Next is the render engine. This is entirely dependent on your computer and also sometimes preference. So Eevee is the much simpler one. This is always what you should be working in. And for lower power computers, this is what you always want to use. Cycles is really high power, but will also make it slightly higher quality. So if I go to Cycles, you'll notice a bit of lag, right? But you'll also notice if you go in closer, all the lighting's done better. The third layer becomes a bit more 3D, and so if I go to my camera, it will look a bit better. Sometimes some skins don't look great with the 3D outer layer, so for that use Eevee, but Cycles will look better, but be more intensive. So I'll use Eevee just for the sake of this. You can see the difference, right? I'll put them on screen, and then you've got your thumbnail. Obviously, you could do a bit more in your editing software, do whatever you want. If I go now render image, I have just the character. Amazing. Perfect. Now I'm going to go image, save as, whatever you want to name it, so I will name it tutorial render. And save it to a file, save it to a location that you will remember. So maybe not your downloads, save it to a folder or something, because a lot of the time you end up reusing these. And now, if I go and open it, there you go. I've got my character. Perfect. I hope this was helpful. Subscribe, and yeah, thank you.